Hello and Heidi Hi campers. Just a quick reminder about my Patreon before we head into this episode of Showy Ovaries. Head to patreon.com, look for my name, and if you wanted to help contribute to the making of this podcast that has no funding of any other sort, that'd be marvelous. But in the meantime, cue that music. Everyone, kia ora tātou, haere mai, and welcome along to Showy Ovaries, a podcast where I, freshly inspected by a gynecologist from the inside, Penny Ashton, also probe deeply, but into the world of menopause and perimenopause before it wizens my womb forever. As always, a quick reminder that I am not a doctor, though I did just have quite a few doctors peeping up my lady portal and some others sticking anaesthetic in my veins. Today's guest is also not a doctor, but she did DM me to tell me about a menopause symptom that we haven't actually discussed yet, more on that later, proving that the deep well of crappiness that can accompany our chronifications is the gift that keeps on giving. She's one half of the Auckland breakfast show on New Zealand's favourite music radio channel, The Breezy, is a former presenter on the lost, lamented Good Morning show, where we met when I was the gossip correspondent, has presented numerous other tally shows, is the mum of two, and devotee to orangutans and other gingers like myself, though I am a fake ginger. So please stop whatever you're doing, put your hands together, unless you're driving, and welcome along the gorgeous and fabulous Jeanette Thomas, I'll try that again. Jeanette Thomas is a friend of mine, and we've all got a friend in the breeze.
Okay, I need to stop you right there. Are you a fake ginger?
Yeah, do you know what? Some people are quite surprised by that.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
absolutely no idea. Wow.
Yeah,
it's beautiful ginger. You've got that deep auburn. I love it.
Thank you very much. It's very difficult to get hair colour, actually, that I like. Oh, is that your dog?
Oh, okay, yeah. You might hear them from time to time. They're quite vocal, but at the moment they're having playtime.
They're having playtime. That's exciting for us. Yes, good. So anyway, you were supposed to come to my house, but you are displaying excellent behaviour because you've had some COVID around you, so we're being safe.
COVID in the building, at work, possible COVID symptoms in the whānau.
Yes.
So, and I don't want to give them to you. I feel absolutely fine at this point in time, but I haven't had it yet.
Right.
Have you had it? You haven't.
I have not had it yet. And I have just been to hospital if people are wondering what the hell I was talking about, the introduction, to have some exploratory surgery that was supposed to remove a polyp from my uterus, but there was absolutely nothing there.
Nothing up your lady portal or whatever you called it.
Yes, my lady portal. I realise that some people are trans, etc., and they don't like to call it lady portals, but I have a lady portal. But I did get a lift to the hospital from a woman whose husband now has COVID.
Oh my goodness. That's the thing. It's like you're playing this game of cat and mouse and you're running and it's after you. And it hasn't got us yet, but
it's like it's sort of encroaching on all sides.
So can I just say though, is it good? It's good news that they found nothing.
Yes, it is. It is.
But it leaves you wondering, does it?
It does, yes, because I've been having some bleeding between periods. And then because I've been doing this podcast so much, I'm like, I guess it's just perimenopause. But then the gynecologist is like, well, let's go and have a look. And I am grateful to live in a country where we can do that and it didn't cost me anything.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it did take a few months, but, it wasn't a pressing issue. And then it became, I was a bit nervous because we were talking about like general anaesthetic. I'd never had it before, but it was quite pleasant. Yeah. I woke up feeling.
You didn't mind it? Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I found it hard to come around afterwards, like trying really hard to open my eyes. Maybe they were trying to rouse me a little early.
Right. Maybe I'm easily aroused. I don't know. But
not these days.
Husband, stay away, get out. And I've had colonoscopies in the past as well, and I actually never went under for those. I was completely awake.
No, they just give you a lovely little sleepy, like you will not remember what we're about to do to you.
But I remembered all of it, so that's
I
do. What? Yeah, I remember all of it. So I remember them going, "It's not cancer. Here's your ass," which is interesting. So now I've seen pictures of my uterus and of my gastrointestinal tract. So
what's left?
Yeah, I know. We didn't talk about this on Good Morning so much.
Should have.
Did you talk about menopause a lot on Good Morning, or?
Do you know what? I feel like we didn't.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
And for me, that was a good, that was 10 years ago that I started that. Yeah. So menopause wasn't being talked about 10 years. I feel like menopause is really only being started to be talked about in the last, I want to say 12 months. It might be longer.
No, I think so. Yeah, maybe 18 months. And I think the UK has started pushing a bit along with Oh, Dr. Louise Newsom.
She's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. She's
Yeah.
done really good work. And then here it's people like Miriama and,
Yes.
and I started this
Yep.
6 months ago, and I feel like even in just that 6 months, it's been a huge difference. And,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And let us not stop talking.
Absolutely,
You know?
absolutely. But now I have to say to you is something that I feel probably has happened to a lot of people. I don't know. I don't know what. So I'm 48. I reckon I probably turned 43 or 44. And I was like flicking through the radio stations going, what shall I listen to? And I have had an absolute allergic reaction to easy listening like all my life. I'm like, I'm far too cool for that. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
And then I just sort of came to the breeze and I was like, oh, I haven't heard this song since, 1980 this. Oh, and I didn't even necessarily like it that much at the time, but I know all of the words. I'm going to sing very loudly. And now I only listen to The Breeze and Radio New Zealand.
Oh, look at you. And you know what? Because we're not actually that easy listening. It's more memories. And it's your 80s and a sprinkle of maybe some 70s and maybe some new stuff that you might have heard your kids listen to and you probably quite like.
Yeah.
Because it's not, you can understand the words and they're not swearing.
That's so true. It's so true. It's not easy listening. It's memories. Is that one of your taglines?
No, look, it's not, but it should be. And I'll charge them for it.
Yes, absolutely. I know. I'm like, Kyrie eleison. And then I'm like, what does Kyrie eleison mean? And it means, I looked it up. It means God have glory be to God in Greek.
I couldn't have even told you what they were singing. I just knew it was Kyrie and that was about it.
Kyrie eleison. What even is that? But now I'm looking it up because of The Breeze. And I'm
so glad you're part of the Breeze fam. It's lovely to have you.
Totes. Yes. And I've done lots of lovely interviews with the breakfast hosts all over the country and stuff. So it's totally my target market as well. So we love The Breeze.
You betcha. Yes. Sweet spot.
Good. Lovely. Anyway, so welcome. So now I'm going to do my longer introduction for you. And you've been very...
Oh God, there's nothing else to say.
Oh, there's so much to say, darling. So much to say, there is. And feel free to unleash your inner filth because I know you're quite filthy.
Excellent. Let's go.
Because I love that at The Breeze, everybody sounds like they've got a smile tattooed into their voice is the only thing. Doesn't it hurt to sound like... Welcome to Love Songs Till Midnight. I'm having the best time of my entire life.
It's just a little funny. No, but because we're just lovely people, genuinely good people work at The Breeze. I can hand on my heart, I can say that.
All right. I wondered if you had a giant sign on the wall that said "Smile or I'll kill you." Anyway, here we go. Jeanette Thomas was born in Auckland in 1972 and has lived almost all of her life here. She graduated from AUT with a Bachelor's of Communication, majoring in radio in 1993, and has pretty much worked in the media continuously since. Her TV presenting roles have been on Crime Scene, Target. Now, did you present Target from the beginning?
No. Nope, I came in maybe halfway through. I did it for about 7 years.
So did you do the knicker sniffing plumber thing?
Not the most recent one, but there was definitely undie sniffers in my time, but not the last one was a big one,
right,
and I just missed that by a year.
Right, okay. Anyway, I thought of that when I wrote Target, but anyway, back to you. You've also presented House Trap, Jim's Car Show, Christmas in the Park, and of course, Good Morning, with dips in and out of radio, particularly on The Breeze with your work husband, Robbie Rakate. In 2012, she took over the helm of Good Morning with the now gone forever Rod Cheeseman. What happened to him, eh?
Well, I only did it with Rob for a year, and then it was just on my own.
And then he was gone. So you took over solo until its untimely demise, a decision made by idiots, as I said when I was interviewing Esther as well last week, and it was a stupid decision. She has a policeman husband and 2 kids in Mia and Charlie. Charlie, interestingly, spent a lot of the pandemic on a small desolate atoll near Hawaii as a conservationist. And Charlie and Jeanette share a passion for environmentalism and animal rights, which is also evident in her first published book, children's book with Rakate called Ernie and the Magic Kennel, with all proceeds going to Duffy Books and Home and Saving Hope Rescue Dog Charity. So please again, welcome one more time, Jeanette Thomas. Hooray. There's a lot to say.
So nice to see you.
Nice.
What's that?
There's a lot to say.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm almost 50.
Yes.
So,
yes, this year.
Half my life's done. That's probably not the best way to look at it.
But you know what? Half of your life is done, which means you have all of it over again without having to go through adolescence, which is a huge amount of time. So writing women off at this age is utter bullshit.
Oh, it's utter utter bullshit.
Utter bullshit.
But it's like we're finished with the babies, which is, why we're here.
Exactly.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
And so what else are we good for? Oh, plenty.
Yes.
Let's talk.
Yes, indeed. And the Breeze, I think, is somebody that embraces the older woman on air. There's some older women on air, is there?
Yeah, look, absolutely. Like we embrace all women, all genders, everyone can listen to the Breeze. And we do. It's quite surprising, actually. When people text us in the morning or send us correspondence, whether it's sort of, online, whether it's emails or Facebook stuff, there's so many, our audience is many and varied. I mean, there's a lot of women sort of probably my age, I think, would maybe be mostly.
And mine.
But there's everything else in between as well, which we love.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. Anyway, so first question. What has your relationship been like with your body through your life, and what journey has it been on through children's and shoulders and things like that? Do tell.
Oh, gosh. Well, it's probably, I mean, like a lot of people, it's probably been a little bit of a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I don't think I really gave much thought about my body growing up. It just was what it was. I do have a memory in college and high school of hating the PE gear because my thighs rubbed.
Oh, right.
Like these days. I know my kids, when they went to school, they had really decent baggy kind of soccer shorts, the longer short that was just good for anyone. And I remember in my day, there were these tiny little like hot pants.
Right.
Which, they didn't flatter my figure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I remember I did athletics and people they were like sort of tight, I don't know, like almost like a shower cap for your ass. Is there any way?
Yeah.
Just these tiny little, I didn't wear those so much, but they were your prescribed school uniform ones.
That was what they were. Yeah, kind of had to wear them.
Yeah.
That's what I sort of remember, but it was no real big deal. I mean, I remember going on my OE when I was, what was it? It was sort of early to mid 90s. So I was sort of in my early 20s, and I was probably at the time a good healthy size 14, I guess, like your average Kiwi. I was topless on the beaches in Greece. I didn't give half a thought. It just wasn't on my radar to think about what I looked like. I was just having a great old time, drinking way too much.
Yeah.
And
as we did,
having a couple of meeting a couple of friends, should we say?
Did you dance on some tables in EOS or anything like that? I did that.
Yeah. Oh, all of that. Yep. Did all of that.
Yep.
Got it out of my system.
Yep.
Didn't really stay that long, actually. Came home. And it was it was not long after actually I came home that I ended up sort of falling into, I'd done my degree at that point. And so I came home and I fell into the world of television down in Wellington. And I suppose over a gradual number of years, I don't know, I can only assume it was because I got sucked into the world of telly. I felt like I had to be a certain size.
Yeah, right.
So
did you have
that kind of role?
Producers saying things to you like that?
No, never had anyone.
That's great.
Not once.
That's great.
Never had anyone. Yeah.
Okay.
It was, but maybe I put that pressure on myself.
Of course, because you look at everybody else and every billboard and
yeah. And so I probably ended up losing a little bit of weight once I'd come back from my crazy OE. And I ended up staying that way, I suppose, for, I had kids and stayed that way until relatively recently. It only insofar as when sort of menopause hit. I just remember looking down one day and going, "Oh, hello, little belly. How you doing?"
So you didn't have that after kids or anything?
No. Oh yeah, I did, but it sort of it ended up going away. And I've always been. I love my exercise. I love walking and do it. And I there was a phase for a while. I'd get into events and I was doing marathons and just walking, but So I never really had too much of an issue with things. It just was what it was. But I just remember in the last year or so looking down and going, "Oh, yeah, I haven't seen you for a bit, and hello, and welcome to my life." I know there's that whole kind of just accept what you are, and it is what it is, and who cares, and that's true. But I also think there's something in looking down and not necessarily being familiar with what you're seeing.
Yeah, not recognizing yourself.
Not recognizing yourself.
Yeah, right.
Like it's fine. And I know, and I believe now this, having an extra bit round the waist and an extra bit on the thighs, that's me, because that's menopause as well. And it doesn't really matter what I try and do. Nothing's budging.
And you've tried.
I was noticing that sugar was really triggering my hot flushes. Once they started, like really 20 minutes, boom.
Oh wow. That's really, I mean, at least it's pleasing to have such a clear cause and effect.
Yeah, that's certainly one of them for me anyway.
You like sugar?
I love
Oh
sugar.
dear.
Oh my, ask Robert. I'm a sugar queen. He is a sugar king.
Right.
We love it. And so I've been trying to cut that out. And normally if I had done that, I would probably feel a little bit better in my jeans or whatever within a month or something. But nothing, it hasn't changed anything.
Right.
And so that's hormones, I think.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
So now, did you know anything about menopause much at all before it happened to you?
Nothing at all. I think looking back now, I was in perimenopause for many years, like maybe 5, maybe more, and I had no idea.
That's what it was. Yeah. Do you know, how did it manifest in you?
If I look back now, I remember when my mum died 5 years ago, I stopped having a period. And I thought it was grief.
Yeah.
And it could have been a bit of a mix. It stopped for 5 months. And I just assumed it was because I was consumed by grief and I was barely able to sort of function for a little bit there. But actually looking back now, I wonder if that was all just part of perimenopause. I was having horrendous night sweats, sort of pre-period time over these last few years. Again, didn't know anything about it. It actually didn't even occur to me to sort of Google menopause. I might be coming into that phase.
Right.
It did not occur to me. My memory started to go years ago to the point that it's so bad. It still is. But I thought I was getting some sort of early onset, some dreadful thing happening. Oh my gosh, I can forget everything. Like, it's quite insane. I hate it.
Yeah.
So I had quite a number of little things, but sort of almost, I just didn't put everything together. Everything felt individual and just things that were happening and that I was trying to put down to other things.
Yep.
Not necessarily perimenopause. So it really wasn't until I didn't have a period for a year. So June 2020 was my last one.
Right.
And it got to June 2021 last year. And I just about reckon to the day, although I don't know exactly, the hot flushes started. I'd never had a hot flush prior to in perimenopause. But
that's so crazy.
Isn't that so crazy?
Yeah, so you had night sweats, but you didn't put that together with menopause, and then you didn't have one.
And the night sweats were really irregular, once a month or something.
Right. Yeah. And then right. And so then was that quite debilitating and annoying?
The night sweats?
Well, no, the day flushes.
Oh gosh. They still are.
Right.
I'm doing something about them at the moment, so they're gradually disappearing. But I remember Robert giving me on air my birthday present last year, and it was a hand fan.
Wow.
Oh, could have kissed him.
Yeah,
right there and then.
Yeah.
And then my husband gave me for Christmas, part of my Christmas present was a neck fan.
Oh my God, you're like, so this is so interesting. I hadn't heard of a neck fan until about 3 weeks ago, and now it's been mentioned 3 times.
Oh my gosh. $9 from Bunnings.
$9 from Bunnings, right? Okay.
Bought 4 of them just in case they broke. They are the best thing ever. It looks like you're wearing a sort of almost like a set of headphones around your neck. They're amazing. A fan is just an absolute must-have in a hot flush. And I was getting last year, especially in the first part of this year, horrendous hot flushes, like all day, and you just feel like you're about to burst into flames.
Right.
Yeah. Ugh. Awful things.
Now, I remember when your mother passed away, and it was clear that you had such a strong bond, just through being your Facebook friend. It felt like it was very traumatic for you. Had she talked to you about menopause earlier in life?
No, she hadn't. And she had, in her early 40s, so it would have made me, maybe only 11 or 12, she had a hysterectomy, as a lot of women do.
So many. My mum too.
Many.
My mum too, absolutely.
Yeah.
And did she crash into menopause then? But you don't know. Surely she did.
I don't know. And I never asked, and she never told. And she was a solo mum. She just bloody got on with it, bringing up 3 kids. She was the most incredible woman. And never thought to me to ask.
That's so crazy, isn't it? Because you were clearly very close.
So close.
Yeah.
And even so she died 5 years ago, but I didn't, as I said, I didn't know that I was in any kind of perimenopause at the time. It didn't occur to me just didn't even occur. I knew it would happen, but I just thought it might be a hot flush when I was 50.
Yep. That's what we all thought.
That was all it would be.
Yeah. Because that's all we were sort of given the heads up about, really.
I know. It's like that. The hot flush is like the poster child of menopause, and that's all I knew.
Yeah.
So, but it's so much more. I went through the symptoms. There's something like 35 or 40 of them, and I ticked 16 boxes. So not as bad as many, but enough that it's been a ride.
I would say that's a lot. That is a lot. For the people that I've talked to, if you to have that many, I mean, yes, obviously you are being very I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. There's no need to downplay the fact that you've suffered because it's bullshit that you didn't know. And, and so, so I don't know what I'm even trying to say here. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, and you know what? I don't downplay it now, but it's like that invisible thing, really. Unless you're turning bright red, it's sort of like my knee joints in particular were absolutely atrocious. I just assumed I was just getting a bit older,
exactly,
or maybe some arthritis was starting to set in. Or so I get once again trying to explain it away somehow. I got a few years ago. I started to get. At the time, I didn't even realize, but really quite anxious, and the anxiety set in, and also like not wanting to stand up in front of a group of people, like in an MC situation.
Wow.
Which, given what I do for a job,
totally,
you would think would be a walk in the park, but I became crippled by that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Again, I put all of that down to high hormones playing around in there on a bit of a roller coaster and disappearing on me, and causing all these issues. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a shame, isn't it, with your mum that, that you didn't get the chance to share that sort of experience. But now, because you've got 2 children, so you'll be sharing it with them.
I am. And they're absolutely, well, I've actually got one at home. Mia, my youngest, is at home. So she would hear me get up off the ground swearing like a sailor because everything hurt. And I would have to use like benches and things to pull myself up. And, she's fully aware of it. And because I wasn't, it's my mission to let my husband and my children and anyone who will listen know about it so that just people are forewarned, because
totally,
man,
absolutely,
I reckon it would make a difference.
Yeah, so you want Mia to know as much about this and all that sort of thing as possible.
Yeah, I think so. But you know what? I feel like there's a real sea change around it. People are writing books about it. People are doing podcasts about it. People are talking on the radio about it. We're talking to each other. There's lots. I've joined Facebook groups, and I'm not much of a sharer on Facebook groups. I'm more of a stalker.
Are you on
just a looker?
Are you on the Menopause Over Martinis group?
I'm on that one.
Yes.
I'm on that one as well.
Right.
And but it's really good just reading. It can be heartbreaking to read other people's stories. Hey.
Yeah.
But it's just good to know that you're not alone. 50% of the population will go through it at some point in their life. And there's all these stories there. So, man, I'd encourage anyone who just wants to talk or just know that other people are going through what they're going through to find a tribe somehow, somewhere, talk to your girlfriends. Even amongst girlfriends, you've kind of got to find people that are going through it, because then they give a shit. And not that other people don't, but they just, if it's like anything, if it's not been a lived experience yet, it can be hard to get involved in something and talk about something because it just doesn't make any necessary sense to you.
I know, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I've had some people say, oh, my children won't, or teen girls won't want to know about it, etc. But we teach them all about pregnancy and stuff at high school. So to me, it just is.
And we do. Yeah. I guess because that's maybe more imminent than.
Potentially, but maybe not when they're 13 or 12 when we often learn.
No, exactly.
So
but it does feel a long way away, doesn't it? 50, you're old by the time you get to 50.
Totally.
But no, may that be a change that we all help create.
Absolutely. Now, and what about your husband? Did he know anything about it?
No. Does he now? Well, he's learning.
Has he been a good partner in empathy?
Oh, no, absolutely. I'd like him to do some more reading and some more listening of podcasts. Every now and again I'll pop a podcast on or something and I'll pull my headphones out and I go, now listen to this, just because it's kind of like a thing that you just, that women have suffered in silence through, and it's not a visual. It's not something like a broken arm. You put a cast on it, and you go, and there's your sympathy right there. But with menopause, unless you're turning bright red and have a big hot flush, you keep it to yourself often, and you don't complain. Well, not more.
That's the thing about having like a slightly burning vulva. It's a bit annoying, I just can't go, oh my God, my vulva is burning. It's like you can say you're having a hot flush and stuff like that, but it was like, you should just check this out.
It's hard to engage others in that conversation, but I'm here for you.
Thanks, love. Thank you.
I haven't had one, but I can empathise.
Yeah, that's one of the symptoms you've missed out on, so well done. I'm still waiting to see the hospital, the vulva clinic, I believe is something that it is.
Jeez, that's vulnerable though.
Yeah.
You just know that you're going to get into that room and
that was the thing
clothes are off
about,
and-
having a general anesthetic and knowing that they were getting into my uterus and just imagining how attractive I looked passed out on a hospital bed with legs akimbo. It's just like quite confronting. And then
you know what? That's
talk about it with
seen it
strangers.
a million times.
That's it. I'm just a big lump of flesh to them, or this, an attractive lump of flesh. And they say,
Tell me though, did you, there's that old, what is it? That joke, that old, like legend has it that woman that went to the, she was going to have a smear test and she thought she'd whip home from work in a lunch break and just, tidy up down there and just make sure things were nice and clean. So she grabbed the flannel and she gave herself a good old wash down.
This is the sort of thing you say on the breeze. Yeah, uh-huh.
And she goes off to the doctor and she's up on the table there having the smear test done, and I don't quite know how it goes. Something like, "Gosh, you've really gone to a lot of trouble for me today," says the doctor. And she said, "What? Oh, really? No, not at all." He goes, "Oh, it's just there's a lot of glitter down here," and apparently the woman's daughter had been washing her face, which had been full of glitter, and all of that had come off on the flannel, which went straight down below, and looked an absolute treat for the doctor. So that was a long way of saying we all nice and tidy down there for the doctor.
Yeah, I spread confetti around, absolutely.
Good for you.
Yes. Oh my God, it's so funny how the things that you never thought you'd talk about to somebody, let alone on a podcast that anybody can listen to, except
it's just a body, though, eh? It's a functioning vessel that has been so good to us,
and that's so true. It's like when you break down the shame around bodies and particularly different bits of bodies and stuff that has been perpetuated by conservative administrations and places like Texas and different countries and different religions that have imbued so much shame into just the stuff that we all have. It's just so nonsensical.
I know, and I think it's going to take more than our generation to get over that one.
Absolutely.
But, hey.
So now, so when did you start to think, well, maybe this is menopause? It was the hot flushes during the day.
It was. I knew that last period had been June 2020. So I knew by the time I got to 2021, by that stage I'd been starting to read a little, and I knew that 12 months was basically there's one day of menopause, and it's the 12 months, and then you're post-menopause.
Yeah.
So I knew that I'd hit menopause on that day, and then the hot flushes started, and that's when I really started to read a lot more and start to get really educated about what menopause was, and God, it was enlightening. And I just started to realize that all of these symptoms, all of these things that had been happening to me were menopause symptoms, if that's the right word. So that's basically when I knew for sure was once that 12 months was up.
And you went to the doctor?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I kind of just pushed through the end of last year. It was weird. We went into lockdown in the August, and the end of last year was just weird. Yeah. So I just trudged on and just dealt with everything, which in hindsight, maybe shouldn't have for as long as I did. I mean, it was only, where are we now, 8-9 months later. A lot of women have gone a lot longer than that, suffering with stuff. But I got to about a month, 5-6 weeks ago. I just decided enough was enough. And I was about to try something a little bit more heavy duty.
Right, so this is very recent. Look at that. So then you took yourself up to the doctor and got some HRT.
I did.
Right.
I did.
And how is it going?
Well, it's taken a little bit of just getting the dosage right. So she said to me initially, we'll start you here, which was a 50 milligram patch or a 50 whatever patch. What I started on with it was the synthetic progestin, I think it's called. I'm a bit confused with the terms. Anyway, I discovered the 50 milligram patch wasn't enough because it didn't after about, I'd been on it by about 3.5 weeks, I suppose, and I had noticed no change whatsoever. Still relatively early days. They say a month to 3 months you need to stay on it. But I wasn't prepared to go for another month and try. I just felt just as bad as I ever did. And I thought, no, let's adjust that. So we went up to the 75. And I also said, could we swap the synthetic one for the bioidentical progesterone?
So just to clarify, the patches with the amounts you're talking about, that's the estrogen. But now we're also talking about the progesterone that you take and you switched to Utrodestin, which is the one that you have to pay for.
Yeah, the one you have to pay for. And that was never offered initially, and I'm assuming it's for that reason, but I wasn't given a choice. Anyway, because what happened on the synthetic one, I think it was that. It could have been other things, but I slipped into, for about 2 weeks, it's a very short time, but I slipped into this awful low mood. And I'm quite an up person, quite a happy person, and I couldn't find the joy anywhere for a couple of weeks, and I felt I felt terrible. I just felt awful, and it's the only thing I'd changed was I'd gone onto this thing. I can't prove it was that.
Yeah.
But,
Was a marina a possibility?
No, that wasn't talked about, and so I went back after 3.5 weeks. I said, I feel like the patch maybe we could go up a notch. Gone to the 75, and I said, can we swap to the bioidentical one? And I can report, where are we now? I'm probably about 9 days into that, and I feel amazing.
Great.
Like I've still got bits and pieces going on. My moods come right back. But the thing that I've really noticed is my joints. I don't swear when I get up off the ground anymore.
Amazing.
And that's good for the family.
Yeah.
The hot flushes are really calming down. My memory's still as shit as it ever was, so I don't know if HRT's ever going to fix that. But on the whole, I'm just starting to feel better.
Right, and did you say that was 9 days?
Yeah, but I had been on. It has been obviously the HRT's been in my system for 5 weeks-ish, maybe thereabouts. So I guess even on that lower patch dose, I was getting something, and this has just grunted maybe things up. God, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, no idea, but I do know that now I'm starting to, I think, feel the benefits of it.
Yeah.
So,
and how much does it cost, that Utrodestin?
It's $25 a month.
25 a month. Which, and the thing is, that's not a lot for some people, but for other people, it's prohibitive.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Yes, and I'm fortunate that I'm able to get it.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking to a doctor coming up who is a female GP in Napier who is driving a bit of a campaign to try and get it funded. I mean, everybody wants Pharmac to fund everything, but when it's something that's for 51% of the population and it's a gold standard, and and the choice that you've got is to feel shit or to feel good.
Yeah, and maybe not everyone would on this other one. That could work an absolute treat for other people. So I don't want to put people off. That was just my experience. Yeah,
it's just frustrating that Pharmac has this obsession with one medication being good for everybody of a thing. Like, because I'm on lamotrigine, which is a epilepsy medication that they swapped out for a generic and caused a lot of issues with.
So do you pay for your one?
I managed to get a dispensation through my doctor to get the one that I used to have, because it's like, if I have a seizure, I can't drive for a year. It changes my life completely.
Absolutely.
So thanks very much for fucking around with that, Pharmac. I mean, the thing is so tricky, right? Because Pharmac does actually so much good. They don't get much credit for what they do that's good. Like in Australia, obviously there's a lot more stuff that's funded, but you actually have to pay a lot more for a base level of medication in socialised places such as Canada and Australia. So we actually pay less for most of what we get, but it's just these massive gaps, and then they become really expensive. So,
and it's heartbreaking when you see the stories of
so heartbreaking. So they just need more money. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, doesn't every facet of life
need more,
especially
money.
At the moment?
Yes, that's right. So did you feel that menopause was affecting your working life?
Yeah, my memory would have been just my memory recall was absolutely shot. Yeah. So in the last year, probably mostly because, as I say, prior to that, I didn't even know what was going on. If I think back to it, no, not really. Probably just these last 12 months since the flushes hit and the joints started to, and everything just started to hurt. And I guess my hormones were just starting to really plummet. And I didn't realize that at the time, but that just has a knock-on effect to just about every aspect of your life. So yeah, I guess it was, but you know what? Women just get on with it.
Yes, we do. Yes, and that's what we've been told to do forever, and we just do.
Oh my gosh! And you've still got so much mental admin in your head that you've got to get that done of a day, and you've got to work, and you've got kids, and you've got the house to run, and you've got stuff to stop at the supermarket and get on the way home, and you just get on. You haven't got time to be worried about anything else.
Yeah, and that's that like, so how is your husband, and feel free not to answer this one, but, I find that emotional labor, you're the one that knows that Charlie has this and Mia has that, and that you have to get this for tea, and this, that, and the next thing. Does your husband share that load?
the mental load. He is amazing we basically go 50-50. So no, I have that sort of a load. I know the birthdays of the family. I know when the kids were at school, I knew what days the sport practices were and all of that. He has no idea. I don't even think he knows his own birthday.
Yeah.
He has no idea about that stuff. But he takes care of so many other things. Like he does the bills and he does the outside and he'll do, he's an amazing fix-it man. And we have a beautiful split that's never even been talked about. It's just something we've settled into, and we're such a great partnership that, oh man, I got no complaints.
That's fantastic. That's so great. That's really great. And do you think that if your workplace had like a menopause policy, what would you think of that?
So what do you reckon that would look like? Yeah. You mean like a day off if you needed it, or
I guess, yeah, absolutely, because they put I'm not the best person to talk about this. The lady that runs Menopause Over Martinis is coming up with workplace things, and somebody else is. Oh, there's a few people that are working in that space, and I don't really know what that is. But yeah, like there's that young lady that just got a menopause and menstruation policy into the radio stations.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Well, and do you know what I would love is just and Rob, who I work with, Robert at Architect, who I work with, is amazing, and he does get it in his earballs most mornings from me. When I have a hot flush or something, he'll know about it. But he's one of those people who, if you want to talk, he will literally put everything down and he will lean in and he will listen and he hears you and you feel so seen by him, which is so lovely. So he knows what's going on, and he's got a beautiful wife as well who's venturing into these times too. But I would love for all people of an organisation to just know about it, that women of a certain age, this is what's going to happen at some point. These are the sorts of things, and just be more aware of it, because, as I say, it's not a visual thing. So out of sight, out of mind. People don't talk about it, and
they just have empathy.
Just have empathy, and just know that it's going on, because it's a lot.
Now, I did tease something at the top that we haven't talked about at all, and so now, what happened with your shoulder? You thought that was related to menopause.
Frozen shoulder.
Yeah.
I got frozen shoulder in 2020, just before that first lockdown in the March. Didn't know that was what it was. My shoulder just started to get sore, and gradually sore it, and I just assumed that it had been from throwing the ball thing with the dogs on the beach, and I just thought, a bit of overuse kind of a thing, like a tennis elbow, but in my shoulder. And it got worse and worse and worse, to the point by mid-year I could barely use my arm. And it was also this lockdown, so I didn't do anything about it. And so I eventually went to a physio, and it was misdiagnosed as something else. I got a cortisone shot, but they put it in for that first diagnosis, but that was the wrong shot for what it actually ended up to be. So that didn't do anything. I ended up finding an orthopedic surgeon who deals with frozen shoulder and various other things, and that's what he does. And I walked in there, and he did there's a couple of tests that they do for people when they suspect it might be a frozen shoulder, and I could barely do anything. By that stage, I couldn't do up a bra strap. I couldn't get dressed. I couldn't put my hair up in a ponytail. I could not use my right arm at all. I would drive with one hand.
Oh, my God.
I was in tears most days. Utterly horrific. Utterly horrific. There's been no greater pain in my life. I would give birth 6 times in a row with no drugs.
Jesus.
And it would be easier than that, because it was so bad. And he instantly said, my gosh, you've got frozen shoulder, plus look at your age and your gender. And he said, we don't know why, but it's really linked, we think, to hormones. At the time, this is sort of partway through, or toward the end of 2020, I didn't know about perimenopause, remember?
Yeah. Or
anything. I didn't know I was in it. And so I didn't even make any connection. I just thought, hormones, whatever. I don't know what's going on there, but that's fine. And he gave me a shot, nothing with the cortisone in the right place, just jammed it in that day. And I got no relief from any of those. I ended up having, I think, 3 cortisones. In the end, I wound up on his operating table because there was nothing that was going to fix it. And it was one of the worst he'd ever seen. Like, he literally had to just about get on the table to get my shoulder joint and the ball thing apart. The socket and the ball, so was so fused.
Well, so it's fused, right? Okay. So
it was just stuck. It was so stuck. Nothing was going to move it. And the pain is like a nerve pain that would just drop you to the ground. And it's like someone stabbing you in it. So anyway, that was a long-winded way of saying it was awful.
Yeah.
But women in menopause are susceptible to it. It's not going to happen to everyone, but it is quite common.
Oh, that just sounds so
yeah.
bad. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so what do they do? Like, do they put more fluid in there? Like, how do they fix that?
It's keyhole surgery. I've got four little holes, and he just gets it all apart. And then I had a quite a rigorous set of exercises that I still do from time to time because I'm paranoid of it happening again, and it can jump into the other one, can happen in the other shoulder.
Right.
But it's just something to be aware of at that time of life. Like I remember when I first phoned him, the orthopedic rooms, and I asked to see if I could make an appointment, and the woman that I was speaking to on the phone said, "Oh, Matt can't see you for probably a good 6 to 8 weeks. You know, he's booked out." And I feel like from memory, I burst into tears because I was at the brink of tears for most of the day, all of the time. And she said, "Hang on a minute." And she looked down and she saw my age. She knew I was a woman. And she went, "You know what, Jeanette, I'm going to find a spot for you tomorrow. And Matt's going to see you at 10:45. And she came into the room that next day when I was in there. And I said, "Thank you so much for doing that." She said, "I looked down, I knew you're a woman, I saw your age, and I went, that's a frozen shoulder." It's just so prevalent amongst people my age.
Oh, and why doesn't your GP know that? And you know what I mean?
Well, I never went to the GP. I went to a
physio?
A physio, and I don't even know why I started there, but I did.
Well, you think a physio should, this is the thing, this gap in people's knowledge around women and their hormones and just getting on with it.
Yeah.
Fucking infuriating.
Yeah. I know. I think, have I maybe heard on a podcast somewhere or read that when doctors study, they learn about menopause for like an hour or something in the whole of their...
Yeah, I put this out I put it out on Twitter and asked, and somebody said it was like, it wasn't even a full day or something.
No.
And when you think about, I think it's changing, and obviously if you do the specializations, it does. But but considering there are estrogen receptors in nearly every part of your body, it affects nearly every specialization. And so there should absolutely be, and for men, because andropause is a thing and the lack of testosterone can affect various, so they just need to study about the hormone what it does to bodies. But it's just, so that could have been fixed for you so much sooner if there'd been better.
Could have, and I should have got onto it sooner. But again, I just didn't know I didn't even know what I was dealing with at the time. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. But gosh,
I mean, you have a Bachelor of Communications majoring in radio. I don't think you should have known.
I know. Yeah. Oh my goodness! Yeah. But again, I was able to talk about it on the radio and hopefully, let other people know that is just something to.
You have, with much power comes much responsibility. So that's really good to get that stuff out there to your listeners.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what Rob and I do. We kind of just talk about stuff that happens in our lives and things that we see, and we very much live the lives that our listeners do. Supermarket, kids, sport on a weekend or whatever, and ain't no fancy stuff for us, tell you that.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, this has all been very interesting. Thank you very much. So now we're coming to the end, which is very sad. But do you manage to come up with a fun fact for us for the out-of-the-box fun fact section?
I did. I don't know if it's one you've heard before. Let me find it. I've got it on my phone here. So what I found, God, even with my glasses, I can't read my phone. Classical medicine apparently defined women as deformed males. And we came closer to the male ideal after our menopause transformation. And I don't know if that's because we were suddenly more sweaty and angry.
And slightly hairy as well, let's be honest.
Slightly hairy, unpredictable. I don't know, but I thought that was interesting. And the other thing I saw was apparently too, back in the day, menopausal women were seen to have lost their femininity, their beauty, their fertility and their status. And basically once they hit menopause, they stood at the gateway to death. That's what we were looked at.
Yeah. There's been all sorts of things called galloping catastrophes and male castrates and things like that as well.
Wow, we were kind of doomed from the start. Do you know what I have loved seeing in the last wee while is Sir Rod Stewart?
Yes.
Making a little bit of a song and a dance about things.
Yes, absolutely. I interviewed Carolyn Harris, who's the MP in the UK, who is at the forefront of the menopause revolution. So she's been hanging out with Penny Lancaster and Davina McCall and people. And so then he's been, affected by that and saying, because I think Penny Lancaster was throwing saucepans at him.
Yeah, she was. That's one thing I haven't had is the rage and the mood.
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Certainly not in huge amounts anyway. And that's what Penny had. She didn't recognise herself, and he didn't recognise her. But hello, that's menopause. And recently in the UK, and still happening at the moment, is they've got this shortage of HRT or the estrogen side of things, I think.
And why is that not happening here?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But fingers crossed it does if it stays that way.
Maybe it's an economy of scale because there's so many of them.
Maybe. I don't know. There's about 13 million women going through menopause, I think, in the UK at the moment.
Yeah. Was there anything else that you thought you might want to say around menopause at all?
I guess keep talking about it and find your tribe. You always feel so good when you've had a good chin wag about how you're feeling and how it's impacted you and the symptom that you've struggled with the most that day, and something you'll find that somebody else has exactly the same thing. I've been having lovely chats just on Messenger with Miriam Kamo, and it's just so nice to have to talk to other gals who are right at that same stage, and you get advice and you can give some advice for what it's worth or just experience in terms of what you've lived. And I would just say keep talking and know that you don't have to suffer if you choose not to. You know, if you want to do something about it, there's help.
Yeah.
You just got to ask, put your hand up and keep asking. And there's Dr. Lara Bryden. I haven't read her book, but by all accounts there's amazing ways you can talk to your doctor in there.
Oh, okay, right. Cool,
which are really good because, you know, some doctors, you don't know quite what to say or how to frame it or what to ask for or how to keep pushing.
Because you have 15 minutes.
Yeah, you do. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So find good ways to talk to doctors and just advocate for yourself and wave the flag.
Yeah.
Keep waving the flag.
Yeah. And we need other women, of course, to advocate for women that can't advocate for themselves as well.
Yeah.
Or can't afford to. That's the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And hopefully just bit by bit we can do that, eh?
Yeah. Absolutely. Right. Well, thank you very much for your paper.
You're a beautiful woman. It's been so lovely to see you.
You too, my gorgeous. And thanks. And good luck. And good luck for your other shoulder. Hopefully it doesn't freeze up.
No, it's not going anywhere. And good luck to you with all of your burning bits. And I hope there's some answers soon.
It's almost biblical, isn't it, with my burning bush? Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing because this is fabulous. And I can't wait to talk about it on the radio some more.
Oh, well, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, my dear.
So that was the delightful, the delicious, the easy breezy Jeanette Thomas, who kept things very civilised with her language despite all of my best provocations. Thanks for listening. Come and see my show, Olive Copperbottom, at Q Theatre from May 25th to the 29th. I just added a show, so that's cool. Feel free to give me a shiny 5-star review on your listening platform. Saturate your airwaves with my ovaries, like I'm Harry Styles on the breeze. I don't know the words, but what if I'm something? 'Cause I'm talking again. Basically, I'm just doing this podcast so I can sing into a microphone. But anyway, let all your buddies know about the treasure trove of advice to be found in my back catalogue. I have to say, yesterday, of the 33 podcasts available, 31 of them were downloaded, which I love. Coming up, I have Dame Catherine Healy, the founder of New Zealand Sex Workers Collective, Dr. Samantha Newman, specialist GP, the very subtle Pam Corkery, Songbird Caitlin Smith, to name but a few. So stay tuned to Showy Ovaries and stay juicy, everybody. I've been Penny Ashton. Ciao, Ballas.